give his insights on what's going on over here. Mr. Bolton, appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with us. Well, it's one thing that Elon Musk has decided to talk about this and bring this into public domain through a platform that he's the owner of, which is X, formerly known as Twitter. But let's also talk about this problem. There was a mention for a very, very long time on social media that this is something which has been prevalent in the United Kingdom for very long, but did not get the due attention or its day under the sun as was expected. Why do you think that happened, and what are going to be the next steps for recourse, according to you?
Well, as you quite rightly say, this has been going on for years now. And indeed, I think every society and every country is going to suffer problems of this sort to an extent. The scandal here, if you like, the political sort of shenanigans that are going on at the moment are all because there is a lot of evidence. In fact, it's now proven that public officials, so politicians, local councillors, police officers, welfare workers and so on, all were aware of what was going on, but turned a blind eye. They looked the other way. And as a result, they effectively facilitated and enabled it to continue rather than dealing with it. Now, there are two questions there, really, that come from that. And clearly, this is incredibly prevalent. You just named a few of the towns and cities involved, but there are 50 or so across the country where this has been going on. Now, the question, there is the first thing, so why was this so prevalent? Why did people turn the other way? And how do we ensure going forward that it's not continuing as we speak, and that it doesn't continue into the future? So why did this occur? Well, there is a strong sense in the United Kingdom that multiculturalism has failed in the United Kingdom, and multiculturalism in the sense that you have numerous cultures living alongside each other, often in sort of geographical pockets, if you like, of people who have a different approach to society and norms and so on. For example, I spent 2.5 years in southern Afghanistan, and in southern Afghanistan, the reality is that men have a very different approach and perspective of women and how to treat women than we do here in the United Kingdom. And so when you bring people from a society like that, and I don't judge it, it's just different to our own, and you bring those people into our society without any effort at integration, you are going to have tension between different forms of normal behavior for those two cultures. And that, I think, has got a lot to do with this. I'm trying not to sort of be sort of, to say what is right and what is wrong. I mean, well, I will do. I will say, obviously, in the United Kingdom, we believe that women should not be treated as an underclass. We believe that they have equal rights. And indeed, we have laws to that effect. And we have laws with regards having sex with underage people. And all of those things have been violated by these gangs. So they are illegal, if nothing else. So, but we need to address the multiculturalism and the integration side of things. Then why was it allowed to continue? Why did people turn a blind eye? Well, for a long time, because multiculturalism has been almost a sort of, a principle of the centre and the left in British society, and they have suppressed, and this is where Elon Musk comes in, they have suppressed through the media, through personal insults, through all sorts of, more recently, the rule of law, they have suppressed any expression of criticism or concern about these sort of things, because multiculturalism is the principle. And if you question that, then you become racist, you become nationalist, you become a Little Englander. And so the people have been, the officials concerned have been, I'm going to say, infected by these principles, and common sense and rationality have gone out of the window. Now, then we've got the problem of how do we guarantee that this doesn't go forward? And that's the here and now problem in Parliament at the moment, because
you made Mr. Bolton, you made a very important point. You said that multiculturalism has failed in the United Kingdom. Well, it's failed in a number of countries in Europe and around the world as well. A lot of the left-leaning governments have actually led to multiculturalism failing, but specifically in the United Kingdom, what factors would you attribute, this debacle to?
Well, it's a very interesting question, because it's just sort of grown over the years, almost out of nowhere. I think in the United Kingdom, though, we have a particular dynamic and driver behind it, and that is that going back really to the 60s, if not before, and indeed our relationship with India. Not specifically, but India and other parts of the world that we used to have a governing role over. There was then this sense that Britain should not have done that. Empire was bad. That we need to make up for that. We need to open our doors to other cultures. We need to repay the harm that the left and the centre of politics say that we've done. And so we have had this guilt conscience, or parts of British society have had this guilt conscience. We see it particularly with the West Indian population who came here, and why weren't they treated better, and so on. So people like myself, I'd like to think I'm a little bit more pragmatic about that. We live in the here and now. We can't change the past. We can all learn lessons, of course, but we all need to get along together and highlight what unifies us, what we have in common, rather than what divides us. And we need to have a meritocracy approach to public service and society, rather than one based on identity and whether or not somebody says that their race, their religion also was victimized in the past. So I think that legacy has had a lot to do with it, not in reality, or not in a practical sense, until it was politicized. And in politicizing it by the left and the centre to gain traction, I think it's actually become embedded. I think it's a very complex thing. But going forward, the answer, for Parliament, or what Parliament needs to do, is convince the British people, all of the people living in the United Kingdom, because of course there are, people of all ethnicities and all religions in the United Kingdom who are concerned about the safety of their daughters and about general safety because of these sort of problems. So they want to be reassured that Parliament and the government understand the problem fully, they are acting to address it. And that's the discussion now that has arisen. And I have to say, with Elon Musk's assistance in highlighting it, because the present government is avoiding a national inquiry. You mentioned in your introduction that there have been about 10 inquiries. Well, there have actually, if you include criminal investigations, been a lot more. But many of them have not been empowered by law to gather evidence. Many of them were very specific to particular incidents. And none of them have looked at the systemic problems of the policies that have been enacted by governments for decades. How it is that we've had public servants, including police and prosecutors, who have been able to turn the other way when quite clearly criminal offences have been taking place. So we need that's a national problem, and it needs a national response. And
absolutely,
that is the discussion at the moment. And the Prime Minister has blocked the such a national inquiry.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Let me also rope in other guests and get their opinion as well. Professor Nalapat,